But I do want to talk about this topic because I feel like this is an interesting one. We've seen multiple reports on this, but I don't know if anything serious has dropped. But we have seen, a couple of different reports on something that could jumpstart this season, or I'm sorry, jumpstart the Bears in free agency next year. Essentially, Dan Graziano came out and reported that Saquon Barkley would be interested in being a Chicago Bear and that the Bears should view him as a potential free agent signing. Now, of course, right, you guys know my stance on running backs. I don't pay them. I'm not going out there to go find a transcendent running back. I'm not like you find them in the draft and then after they're drafted, right, you go get another one. Now, I did say this, right, a day after I did have to come out and say that we might have to pay Darnell Mooney, mostly just because there is there's nobody else in the backfield to block, I guess. But here's the thing for me at the end of the day, and question to you guys. Do you think the Chicago Bears should sign Saquon Barkley this offseason? I know it's a little bit early to talk about free agent signings, but somebody brought it up, so we might as well talk about it. Should the Bears be looking to sign Saquon Barkley this offseason? And here's the thing. Barkley's amazing, right? Saquon Barkley is arguably the best running back in the NFL right now. Depending on what you want to look at, right? Like Henry's still a monster. Zeke to me is, like Saquon is essentially the best running back in the NFL, running wise, receiving wise, right? And maybe you can make a case just in that, right? That with the Bears having so much money, being able to go out there, and you're talking about going to get a potential weapon for Justin Fields, Saquon Barkley could be that, because Saquon Barkley is not only a threat in the running game, right? He could also be a threat for you in the passing game. He could be somebody that Justin Fields could go to on a consistent basis. He could be somebody that Justin Fields could drop back and find if there's nobody else out there, or somebody that you could actually put out in space and be able to make catches out on the outside, right? Saquon's just an amazing athlete. But at the end of the day, the Chicago Bears, to me, are not in a position to go get Saquon Barkley with how many holes this team has. I want the Bears to be good offensively as well. I want them to have more weapons. I want them to go out and get a big-name receiver. I want them to improve the running game a little bit better, maybe with some more run blocking, right? I want them to be able to put up the 30 points that we've seen the last 5 weeks, or at least 24 plus that we've seen the last 5 weeks. But at the end of the day, there are so many holes that you have to fill on this team on both sides that, because of what Saquon Barkley plays, that is a luxury, right? Saquon Barkley is buying the new TV for the house. What's the important things that you need? Got to have the lights on, got to have the gas, got to have the mortgage paid, got to have the water paid, right? Like those are the essential things that you need for your house. Saquon Barkley's the 85-inch TV that you put inside the crib to accentuate the fact that you got a nice crib. You don't put the 85-inch TV on the wall if ain't no electricity in the house, if the lights ain't on. Priorities. And right now, for the Chicago Bears, who are the best running team in the NFL, I know that recently it's been led by Justin Fields, but it's been led most of this season by your running backs. It's been led most of this season by your running backs. Saquon Barkley is a luxury that you add to this team. Because you know what? With that 130, first off, I need fat dudes in front of Justin Fields. I need big guys up front. Bring me the beef. Because I'm tired of talking about my quarterback getting hit. I'm tired of talking about my quarterback having shoulder issues. I'm tired of talking about my quarterback running for his life. Like now we've actually, like, here's the thing. Now we've got a quarterback, and I think this is the difference, right? And maybe if you want to have the Mitch Justin comparison, this is what it would come down to at the end of the day. Mitch couldn't thrive in situations that we're seeing Justin Fields thrive in. Biggest difference to me. Even when people said, you know, oh, well, Nagy had him chained to the pocket. He couldn't leave the pocket. He couldn't do this. He couldn't do that. Okay. What happened in Pittsburgh? Same poor offensive line play. It's got a slate of receivers. Got better receivers than Justin Fields had. Yeah, I got better receivers than Justin Fields had. Right? Like, that would be my debate. But you have to go out here and protect your young asset. And Ryan Poles knows that, right? I think that he'll actually do that this offseason. I think that will be the main focus of this team this offseason, getting Justin Fields more protection, getting Justin Fields a couple of weapons, right? But I don't know if those – I think you've got your big-name weapon right now. You'll probably go out and draft another wide receiver or maybe go high draft for an offensive lineman. I really don't want a young dude protecting Justin. I just don't. Me personally, right? I want somebody that knows what the heck they're doing, because I think if you got people that know what the heck they're doing going into next week or next year, you can start winning. You can start coming out of some of these games with some wins. If you got people that know what the heck they're doing going into next year, you can start coming out of some of these games dominating. Right now, you don't have that. So for me, hey, go get Orlando Brown Jr. Go get, right? Or maybe you throw a rookie in between them. You got Braxton Jones. Maybe move Braxton, right? Like, I don't know how many pieces realistically the Bears are talking about getting. Maybe Braxton Jones kicks inside the left guard, or he goes over to right tackle, and then Tevin keeps playing right guard. Hopefully he'd be healthy, right? And then Lucas Patrick can play, right? Like, that's the iffy, you know, maybe you throw a rookie in there at left guard or something like that, right? Like, but I don't want to see a ton of rookies on this line. I'm not spending my first 4 draft picks on offensive linemen. And in all honesty, right, you might see the Bears, as much as people are going to hate it, go with a defensive player, because right now you're sitting at the 3rd pick in the draft and you just got to go get the best player available. 3rd pick in the draft, you go get the best player available. You don't just pick, we need an offensive lineman. If there's an offensive lineman that's going to be there later in the draft and he's slotted as like the 11th best player in the draft, then you trade back. You don't take that guy with 3. But you know you got your guy. Yeah, you don't reach. You maximize your value. You maximize your value. We've got so many holes on this team that going to get Saquon Barkley would be a sin right now. And I mean, I don't even know, right? Like, he's probably commanding a pretty penny. I don't know how much he'll command in free agency as a whole, right? Like, he's going to be a high paid player. He's that level of player. He's a really good player. But at the end of the day, one, the Giants probably end up just franchise tagging him, giving him one more year with the bag. And I think this is more of a Madden trade than anything, or a Madden signing than anything, that you love it, right? After you've already built up everything else. But at the end of the day, you have to, it's not just about fixing the offense of the Chicago Bears. It's about fixing the Chicago Bears. If I looked at our defense and I said, yeah, we got monsters on the defensive line here, and we got offensive linemen that are going to stand in front of Justin, and continue to make plays, right? Even if it was just one guy that was struggling, right? Maybe a left guard struggling a little bit, but everybody else is set, right? Like I could live with them going out there and saying, okay, we got Claypool, we got Mooney, we got Komet. Oh, we hadn't Saquon of that. Oh, that's crazy. Let's go do that. We're dominating now. They can't stop us. That's the 85-inch TV on the wall. You don't go get the 85-inch TV on the wall if the lights ain't on. It's the garnish on top of the salad. You don't just throw garnish on a plate. You got an empty plate with garnish. One potato over there. It's Justin Fields. That's not fair. Justin Fields is steak. Justin Fields is steak right now. But I'll tell you what, even with, right, me looking at the Bears offensively and saying that you probably need a little bit more in your backfield than just Herbert and Ebner behind Mooney, or maybe, right, if Mooney ends up walking, you definitely need more in that backfield because you don't have anybody that's going to be good in pass blocking. I'm still right. Like I'm going to look in the draft for a guy. I'm going to look in, what do we got in the 5th round? What do we got in the 6th round? Right? Like there's somebody out there. Who's the next guy? Who's this year's Damian Pierce, right? Who's that guy? That's what you go out there and get if you're the Chicago Bears. That's what you go out there and look for if you're the Chicago Bears. You don't pay Saquon Barkley in a year where you're trying to get your entire team together. Now listen, if at the end of the day, right, we find a way to spend a bunch of money on this offensive line, we draft some dominant pieces on the defensive line that we know are going to hit. We've got Kyler Gordon, we've got Jaquan Brisker, and now all of a sudden those guys are accentuated by the dominance that's going to be on this defensive line year one of this kid coming out to play out of college. Sure, if there's money left over, go sign Saquon Barkley. But this one feels like an if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. That's what this one feels like. If was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. But hey, I appreciate you guys for tuning in and rocking with us for another episode of The Daily Show, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. We'll be live tonight for the Chicago Bulls.